What if I told you that right now, using stuff you already own, logs, dirt, a dead stairway nobody uses, you could build something that meaningfully protects you from nuclear fallout?
That's a real claim, and it's actually documented. Let's walk through it properly, step by step.
9 steps, in fact. 9 ways to build real protection without spending a fortune. But before we start hammering things together,
Quick, important pause. Everything in this guide describes emergency, no warning improvisation techniques people have used when there's no time to plan. It is not a substitute for actually planning ahead.
if this isn't an actual emergency, please call your local utility locator and check your permits before you dig anything. Underground gas and electrical lines do not care how motivated you are.
With that said, step 1.
Before you touch a shovel, you need to understand one number. How much stuff it takes to stop radiation, because it's way less than people think.
The core principle is simple: distance and density. The farther you are from settled fallout, and the denser the material between you and it, the safer you are. 4 inches of solid concrete blocks roughly the same radiation as 6 inches of packed sand, 7 inches of earth, or 10 inches of water.
Cool fact add-on. 14 inches of stacked books does the same job as 4 inches of concrete. Your home library is secretly a bunker wall.
It really is. Density is density, whether it's concrete or paperbacks.
So step 1 isn't digging. It's doing the math on what you've actually got lying around. Step 2. Where do you even put this thing? Turns out there's actual math for that too.
Civil defense planners use something called pattern of life. Roughly half of people are statistically likely to be at home during a crisis, about a quarter at work and a quarter somewhere else entirely. So it's worth knowing your options in more than one location.
Which means the shelter in your basement is only useful half the time. Statistically speaking, you might not even be there when it counts.
Right? Which is why knowing multiple expedient techniques, not just relying on one fixed structure, matters so much.
Step 3, and this one takes zero excavation. If your house has a staircase, you already own free shielding material.
Stack dense material, bricks, concrete blocks, filled sandbags, on the stair treads above where you'll shelter, and along both open sides where the stairs meet the floor. Face the pile with plywood or doors to hold everything in place.
Cool fact add-on. This is one of the only methods on this list that works entirely indoors, in minutes, with stuff most garages already have.
Which makes it one of the most realistic options for someone with genuinely no advance warning.
Step 4 sounds made up, but it's real. If your house has no basement, you can build a shelter underneath your own foundation.
Dig a trench along the outside of the foundation, carefully excavate a small cavity beneath the slab, and support the overhang with cribbing. Then lean doors pulled from inside the house against the trench as a lean-to roof, cover them with plastic sheeting, and pile the excavated dirt on top.
So you are, no joke, hiding under your own house using your own doors as a roof.
It's resourceful, though it's also more physically demanding than most people expect, since you're working right next to a load-bearing foundation.
Step 5 is the one from every old Cold War manual, the L-shaped trench.
The long side is where you shelter. The short side is the entrance, set at a right angle. That bend matters. It reduces the direct line of sight path radiation would otherwise have straight through the doorway.
Cool fact add-on. This exact design is called a pole-covered trench shelter, and it comes straight out of research tied to Oak Ridge National Laboratory, published in a book literally called Nuclear War Survival Skills.
Their estimate, roughly 3 feet of packed soil on top can reduce gamma radiation exposure by more than 90%.
90% from dirt. Dirt is criminally underrated.
To finish it, lay roofing poles across the trench overhanging the edges by at least a foot. Waterproof them with tarps or plastic sheeting, then mound the excavated earth on top, about 18 inches to 2 feet deep.
Step 6 is for anyone whose house has a crawl space instead of a basement.
Cut an access point into the crawl space, then dig the same L-shaped trench design underneath the house. Same shielding principles as step 5, just relocated beneath existing structure.
Cool fact add-on, the building itself becomes an extra shielding layer on top of your dirt layer. 2-for-1 protection. Step 7 is for anyone with a truck, because apparently your vehicle can become a bunker roof.
Dig a trench, then park the vehicle over it so the body acts as an overhead shield. Fill the gap between the ground and the vehicle's underside with sandbags or earth of sufficient density.
So somewhere out there, someone's pickup is secretly doing bunker duty, and it has no idea.
It only works once that gap is properly packed and sealed. An empty gap does almost nothing.
Step 8 is the one that made me do a double take. If you're caught on the water, your boat can shelter you too.
Anchor in water deep enough that there's at least several feet between the hull and the bottom. Shelter as low in the vessel as possible and periodically wash fallout off the deck so it sinks away rather than accumulating.
Water below you, fallout sinking away, and you're just casually hosing down your own boat like nothing's wrong.
It's a genuinely documented technique for exactly that scenario, being away from land when it matters most.
Final step, and it's the one people always get wrong: air. Everyone assumes you need some high-tech filtration system.
Actually, no. The air itself doesn't become radioactive, only the particles suspended in it are dangerous, and those are surprisingly easy to filter. A damp cloth or wet bed sheet over an air intake catches a meaningful amount of fallout particles.
Cool fact add-on. The same government tests that showed messy yards catch fire faster also showed clean, well-maintained homes survive the initial blast better overall. So clearing dry brush and stray fuel away from your shelter is free protection too.
And one safety note that matters just as much as the radiation itself: never seal a shelter completely airtight. That risks a much more immediate danger: carbon monoxide buildup. Ventilation has to stay balanced.
So that's the full 9. Location and shielding math, the stairs, the slab, the trench, the crawl space, the car, the boat. And finally, air and cleanliness. And one more number to remember on your way out.
There's a well-known rule of thumb for how radiation decays over time. For roughly every 7-fold increase in time after a detonation, the dose rate drops by about a factor of 10, which is why the first day or two is by far the most dangerous window, and why staying sheltered and monitoring official broadcasts matters more than anything else on this list.
Which brings us back to where we started. This isn't about having the biggest budget or the fanciest bunker. It's dirt, distance, a damp bed sheet, and knowing which 9 moves to make.
And to say it one final time, this is emergency improvisation knowledge, not a weekend project. If you have the luxury of planning ahead, do it properly, with permits and professional guidance.
Because the scariest thing in the world might just be solvable with a shovel, some dirt, and a surprisingly useful bookshelf.